Welcome to NFL Nexus. All right, let's just get right into it. What if I told you one of the biggest, most complicated decisions in the entire NFL this offseason all comes down to a secret that was buried for months? Today, we're diving deep into the Indianapolis Colts front office because they're in a really, really tough spot. The offseason chess game is underway, and they're facing this massive, franchise-altering decision that revolves around two-star players, a truly shocking injury revelation, and a whole lot of money. Let's break this down.
And it all kicks off with this. This is an absolute bombshell of a quote. This is the Colts' #1 receiver, Michael Pittman Jr., talking during Super Bowl week. And listen, he's not talking about some little tweak or a sprain. He is talking about his quarterback, Daniel Jones, and an injury that was way, way more serious than any of us on the outside had any idea about. I mean, this one quote just rips the curtain back. It completely changes how we have to look at the Colts' entire season. This is exactly the kind of thing teams try to keep locked down, to protect their bye, to not show any weakness. But Pittman's honesty here, it gives us this incredibly rare peek into the brutal reality of playing in the NFL.
So that brings us right here, a startling revelation. We all follow those official injury reports every week, right? They come out, we see questionable, doubtful. But what Pittman just did was give us the unfiltered, behind-the-scenes cut of the story, the one the team, for good reason, was probably trying to keep under wraps. And you gotta ask, why? Well, in the NFL, perception is everything. A team with a quarterback who can't move right, well, that puts a giant target on your back. Defenses, man, they smell blood in the water.
Okay, so let's dig into the context here, because this is what's so wild. The team had been reporting that Jones was playing through a leg fracture. Now, that sounds bad enough, for sure, but Pittman's reaction, his real human reaction, seeing the actual scans and having that oh shoot moment, that tells you everything. He said it was really broken, it wasn't nothing light. So this wasn't just a guy being tough. This was a guy playing professional football with a legitimately broken leg. I mean, can you even imagine trying to plant your foot to throw a deep pass or trying to escape a 300-pound defensive tackle with a broken bone? It's unbelievable. And it completely reframes his entire performance during that stretch of the season.
Knowing this now, we absolutely have to re-examine what was a truly brutal season for Daniel Jones. We're not just talking about one bad injury here. We are talking about a cascade of events, a physical gauntlet that tested his limits and honestly showed a level of grit that earned him some serious respect in that locker room. It's a story of pain, it's a story of perseverance, and it's a story that goes so far beyond what you could ever see on a stat sheet. So this is the crucial part of the story to understand. That torn Achilles, the injury that officially ended his season, the one that got all the headlines, that was actually the second major injury. For weeks before that happened, he was out there on the field, taking hits, trying to lead his team, all while playing on an injury that his own star receiver just called a broken leg. I mean, every single snap, every throw, every time he got hit, it was a test. And you really have to wonder, how much did playing on that broken leg mess with his mechanics? Did it put unnatural stress on other parts of his body, maybe, like his Achilles tendon? This just lays out the sequence perfectly. First, the leg fracture, which let's just call it what it is now, a broken leg. He keeps playing on it, battling through it week after week, and then, maybe inevitably, his body just gives out in a different spot. Boom, the torn right Achilles. That is a devastating 1-2 punch for any athlete. So now he's on the road to recovery, his entire future as a free agent is up in the air, but his reputation for toughness, man, that is set in stone. This is the kind of story that teammates never, ever forget. And that toughness, that sacrifice, is exactly why you hear things like this. Pittman, the very guy who just blew the lid off the injury secret, is also the guy leading the campaign to bring his quarterback back. This tells you it's not just about passing stats or completion percentage. It's about leadership. It's about sacrifice. Pittman is making it crystal clear that what Jones brings to this team, it goes way beyond the box score. And in a league where locker room chemistry can make or break a season, having a teammate endorse you like that, especially one who saw what you went through up close, that is worth its weight in gold. So here's where the story takes a fascinating turn, because the great irony here is that while Pittman is out there publicly stumping for his quarterback, his own future in Indianapolis is suddenly really uncertain. For Michael Pittman Jr., this past season was truly a tale of two different seasons, and it was all tied directly and undeniably to the health of Daniel Jones. It was a season of incredible highs and some pretty staggering lows, a season that could actually decide whether he wears a Colts jersey next year.
Now, let's be clear. There is zero doubt about where Michael Pittman's heart is. He has been so open about wanting to stay a Colt. He wants to be a part of that rebuild, a part of bringing this team back to greatness. He really sees himself as a cornerstone piece, a leader. The emotional connection, it's all there. You can just hear it in his voice, the passion he has for the city and for that horseshoe helmet. But this is the NFL, and in the NFL, emotion is only part of the equation. The other, much bigger part is business.
And this right here, this is the business side of the argument, laid out in cold, hard data. Just look at that drop-off. It is stunning. In the first 10 games with a healthy Daniel Jones, Pittman was on pace for a monster, Pro Bowl caliber season, a clear-cut #1 receiver. But in those final 7 games, after Jones went down for good, his production absolutely fell off a cliff. He went from averaging nearly 60 yards a game to less than 30. His touchdowns just vanished. It is a stark, unavoidable statistical reality. And when it comes time for contract negotiations, believe me, numbers do not lie. And while Pittman's numbers were fading, something else was happening on the field. Other guys started to step up. Alec Pierce, in particular, really started to flash that WR1 potential. You add in the steady, reliable hands of Josh Downs in the slot and the rise of this versatile mismatch of a tight end in Tyler Warren, and all of a sudden, the Colts offense proved it could move the ball in other ways. And what does that give the front office? It gives them options. And in negotiations, options mean leverage. It's the classic next man up story, and it could have some massive implications for Pittman's contract. Which brings us right to the heart of this entire dilemma. It is loyalty versus the ledger. This is the classic NFL conflict. It's where the heart, the human element of team building and camaraderie, runs headfirst into the cold, hard math of the salary cap. That cap, it's a hard spending limit for every team. It's designed to create parity, but what it really does is force absolutely brutal business decisions. This battle plays out in every single front office, every single year. And for the Colts, that battle is about to come to a head. And you know what? Pittman himself totally gets it. You can almost hear the resignation in his voice here. He's already told everyone how he feels, that he wants to stay. But he's a veteran. He understands the harsh realities of this league. He knows his love for the team, his leadership, all of it. It doesn't guarantee him a spot on the roster when there are millions and millions of dollars on the line. It's a really tough pill to swallow for players and for fans, but that's just the nature of the business. And let's be real, his contributions to this team have been huge. Look at the career numbers. Across 95 games, he has been a consistent, high-volume target. He is a guy who shows up every single Sunday, he plays physically, and this is something that doesn't show up on the stat sheet. He's a fantastic blocker in the run game. That is so vital for a balanced offense. These are not the numbers of a player you just let walk out the door without a second thought. In a league where just being reliable is a huge asset, Pittman has been a rock for them. But that phrase right there is a cliche for a reason, because it's true. For all of his solid career achievements, the NFL is relentlessly, almost cruelly, forward-looking. When a team is about to hand a player a contract that makes him one of the highest paid at his position, they're not paying for what he did in the past. They are paying for what they believe he's going to do in the future. Which means his performance in those final 7 games, that really dramatic dip in production, it weighs so heavily in this decision. Maybe even more heavily than the 88 games that came before it. It's harsh, but that's the beast. And that brings us to our final section, where this whole thing really boils down to one single massive number. This is where the debate leaves the football field and the locker room and heads straight for the accountant's office. This is the $24 million question. And in today's NFL, money doesn't just talk, it screams. And there it is, the bottom line, $24 million. Just let that number sink in for a second. That is the mountain of salary cap space the Indianapolis Colts would free up by moving on from Michael Pittman Jr. In a league with a hard cap, a number like that isn't just a big deal, it's franchise-altering. $24 million? That can re-sign your quarterback, lock up a young rising star like Alec Pierce, and still leave you enough money to sign 2 or 3 quality starters in free agency. It is the kind of cash that can truly build a championship contending roster. So here it all is, laid out side by side. On the pro side for keeping him, you've got all the things you can't put a price on, right? The leadership, the locker room presence, the stuff you know you're getting, a reliable pass catcher who also helps you in the run game, and a guy who genuinely loves the team. But then, you look at the con side, and the first thing that just jumps off the page is that bolded $24 million in cap space. That money lets you keep Jones and Pierce. You've got the argument that his production might be replaceable with the guys who stepped up, and you have that ugly, unavoidable performance dip at the end of the season. This right here, this is the exact calculation, the exact debate happening inside the Colts war room right now. It is a high-stakes game of chess, and honestly, the future of the franchise is hanging in the balance. And that really just leaves us with this final thought to chew on. We have seen the human side of this, the incredible toughness of Daniel Jones, the heartfelt loyalty of Michael Pittman. But we've also seen the cold, hard numbers, and it forces you to ask a really tough question. In the brutal, cutthroat business of the National Football League, what is the true price of loyalty? Is it worth $24 million? That is the question the Colts have to answer. Thanks for joining us here on NFL Nexus for this explainer. If you enjoyed this kind of deep dive and you want more, make sure you subscribe to the channel, give this a like, and hey, drop a comment below and let us know what you think the Colts should do. And one last thing, if you're looking for something fun for the football fans in your life, you can help support the channel by checking out our coloring books. They're actually really cool, perfect for kids, grandkids, even for adults. You can find a link right down in the description or just scan the QR code that's on your screen now. We appreciate the support and we'll see you next time.